Hi, this is Mark Wade from Prudential Fox and Roach Realtors, Center City Condos, and CenterCityHomes.com. And in this podcast, I'd like to specifically address developers and builders out there who are bringing product into our fair city and try to kind of let them know what I see from a buyer's perspective. Know that I've spent the last 17 or 18 years working with buyers, and I continue to work with buyers because I believe it's important for me to always stay on top of not only the market, but also, what triggers a buyer to buy or not buy, or what they're looking for, or what they'll key in on, or what they'll pay for, and what they won't pay for. And I wish I could, and so that's the point of this podcast, is to hopefully developers and builders will listen to this and hopefully get on the same page, because I have a lot of problems sometimes with developers and builders who build to their tastes, which I think is not an appropriate way to conduct their business. Well, they can do whatever they want, I don't care. But I'm just suggesting that, when in Rome should be the theme of their building process, their design, their layout, their finishes. Because, there's been instances where I've had builders say to me, well, gee, Mark, if I don't put in a hot tub out in the suburbs, if I don't put in one of those big four-person, remember those big hot tubs from the 80s? Remember those things that everybody got into? They'd sit in the middle of a master bathroom, and they'd get used once, and then they'd never get used again. And you can tell when you walk into condos, and it's kind of silly. I mean, they're kind of silly. But I have developers who come to me and say, well, gee, if I don't put one of those in one of our houses out in the suburbs, and I could never sell it. Well, guess what? This isn't the suburbs. This is Center City. Those big suburban kind of hot tub things don't really fly with buyers in town. I mean, it takes up a lot of square footage, and they just don't seem to fly. I also see somebody will build like a two-bedroom, really hip kind of loft, and then they put in two very large bathtubs, and it's not really appropriate, I don't believe, for what I listen to buyers tell me what they want and what they don't want and what they'll pay for and what they're looking for. And if you have two bathrooms, generally speaking, I would suggest the Center City buyer is looking for one tub and one large walk-in shower. Anytime you have more than one bath, I would always suggest one tub, but never two. And for gosh sake, don't ever do those huge plastic. They're almost like hot tub things. Please don't do those. You're throwing good money after bad. Speaking of throwing good money after bad, I see a lot of times these developers will come into town and they'll do these huge kitchens in a row, and they'll do these like a row of 30-inch uppers that goes on forever. Now, developers, you know what 30-inch uppers are. Come on. Well, I don't get it. I don't understand. I mean, first of all, a one-bedroom buyer, especially let's say Old City. A one-bedroom buyer in Old City, first of all, they don't cook. They don't know how to cook. They don't own any pots and they're not so interested in cabinet space. So when developers come to me and say, well, we're doing all these cabinets, and it's like, what, are you kidding me? It's not an appropriate fit, and developers and builders are spending money where they don't need to spend money. Now, I'm not suggesting they cheap the units out, but again, let's go back to the notion of when in Rome, you need to tailor those units to the specifics, wants and needs of the Center City buyer. And there are a lot of little tricks of the trade. I don't need to get into everything a buyer wants here, but I guess the point of this discussion is, if you have a product and it's a new product and you want X dollars per square foot, then you need to not compete with the masses. You need to not bring a product to me and ask me to sell it, or ask anybody to sell it, that is just like every other product out there. You need to differentiate. You need to be a little, if it's a Center City buyer, you need to be a little hip, maybe a little more urban, possibly a little bit more modern. It's not that traditional won't fly, but you need to mix it up a little bit there. We had this one unit in the Savoy back in 4 or 5 years ago, where the owner, it was a one bedroom, and the owner took down a wall and kind of made it a studio and took out the refrigerator and put in a very large under counter Sub-Zero, and on paper it looked kind of stupid. It's like, what the heck are you doing? Then when you went in and saw it, it's like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. This thing is gorgeous. And it was unlike anything we had ever seen before. And you know what? It flew off the shelf in record time at a record price because it was so attuned to what buyers were looking for. For instance, this unit had no upper level cabinets. Now, I know no builder developer out there, I mean, your jaws are probably hitting the ground now, but you know, this unit had no upper level cabinets. It had open shelving, under counter refrigerator. It had a paneled dishwasher. The point is, everybody in this world's got a dishwasher. Everyone in Center City, it seems, has a dishwasher. Rarely does somebody not have one. So there's no point in showing off a dishwasher, for heaven's sake. Panel the thing, blend it in, do an under-counter refrigerator. If you can panel that thing and blend it in also, we're talking home run, because now your kitchen kind of looks like a piece of furniture. Your kitchen doesn't look like a standard kitchen like every other kitchen in Center City or in the world looks like. It looks kind of furniture-ish. And that's something that is a little bit different, still very functional, and it's going to grab a buyer's attention. So, developers, if you're looking for that high dollar per square foot, and you all are, it's not like you're going to, you come to me with a product and say, Mark, I'd like to lose money on this thing. I'd like to give the things away. No, you never do. You always come in with this wish for a high dollar per square foot. Well, you know what? Then you need to tailor your unit to that of the Center City buyer. You need to not compete with the masses. And how do you do that? Well, you either listen to somebody like me who's been working with buyers for a very long time and has a kind of an idea what buyers will pay for, what they won't pay for. And the biggest thing is, perhaps you need to go out there and hire an interior designer to choose your color palette, choose your tile selections, just to groove things up a little bit, if a buyer comes in and, buyers rarely come into condos and they want to buy the bricks and mortar. No, they don't. They want to buy the sizzle. They don't want to buy the steak. They want to buy the sizzle. They want to buy the ooh, ah. They want to buy the grooviness, the hipness. They want it to look good on them, to their friends and their parents and everybody else who walks in that door. And you do that by differentiating. It's not always how much you spend for your final finishes. It's how you spend it. Giving some texture to certain walls, be it through stone or even a Ralph Lauren textured paint, gives a little bit of depth, a little bit of grooviness. Some nice, what's hot right now? Grass wallpaper. You can get it at Lowe's. It's really cheap, but you know what? It looks really good, and no one else is doing it. So you need to be aware that if you're just going to do what you think should be done because you like it, well, guess what? You're not selling it to yourself. You're selling it to the Center City buyer. And if you don't have the knowledge and experience to know what that buyer wants, and no guessing, don't give me this guessing stuff. If you don't know what they want, then you need to talk to someone who does know what they want, who does know what their triggers are, what they'll pay for, and what they won't pay for. There's nothing wrong with tile in a bathroom, but the 12 by 12 standard tile isn't exactly like a wow factor. You get these builders who they go to Home Depot and they upgrade a little bit and they think they're a designer. Well, what's wrong with you? Yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. I would suggest to you that the highest and best use of your finishing dollars and any project comes through an interior designer, to do some really groovy kind of inexpensive finishing touches that are really going to wow a buyer. It's going to set your product apart from any other product out there, because believe me, it's not like the market's dry out there. There's a boatload of inventory on the market right now, and if you don't have a wall of glass or something that's really hip, then you're if you're rehabbing a building, an old building in Center City, you need to differentiate a little bit, and you do that through visuals. And I'm not talking expensive visuals, I'm just talking different visuals. So anyway, I could go on and lather on forever here, and I'd love to, but I'm sure I'm driving people crazy and boring them by now. But anyway, questions, comments, or concerns, I'm always happy to talk to anyone. Give me a call, 215-521-1523, or check out my website, my email address, mark@centercity.com. My website's Center City Condos, Center City Homes, centercity.com. I have that one too. So anyway, take care. Talk to you soon. Thank you.